Welcome to Stupid Builds, where I will show you some stupid builds. Some of these builds are our own creation, some are from our live stream chat, but all of them are stupid because of how strong they secretly are. Today is an interesting one, as we have 3 positively fascinating multi-purpose PvE and PvP builds, a devastating speed runner-like Stasis Titan build, and finally we tested some anecdotal evidence on an unusual way to buff up a Celestial Knighthawk Golden Gun shot. To start us off, asymmetry is not often considered when discussing powerhouse arc weapons. Habitually, it is left unloved and unused, shoved in the drawer and collecting space dust. But today, a donator had us dusted off and demanded that we commit acts of violence so extreme that the Vanguard would wince in horror while Shax would scream our name into the sky with glee. Indeed, today we savored the secret sauce of the symmetry by slapping on some silly setups to sack several strand spamming and stasis slamming simpletons. And while the symmetry at full power was lethal, it lacked a level of lazy liquidity to lure to length and its lever levy to liquefy lethargically. Please, no more! I need a break! We interrupt your regularly scheduled stupidity for a special announcement. This video is brought to you by Honkai Star Rail, the hit turn-based RPG game from the makers of Genshin Impact Hoyoverse. This is the best mobile game on the Google Play and App Store of 2023. This beautifully stylish and charming character-filled game is now available on PS5 with cross-platform data sharing. Using my link and these redemption codes, you can experience their newest 1.6 update featuring 2 all-new 5-star characters. Ruan Mei is an ice-type support character with an elegant Eastern aesthetic, while Dr. Ratio, yes, that is his god-given real name, is an imaginary type character following the path of the hunt that uses the power of science to gain various buffs from his opponent's debuffs. Update 1.6 has you head to the space station to help Ruan Mei out. From there, you can play the new story and a brand new map, the Seclusion Zone, with another new 4-star character, Shui, a quantum type character. And if you log on the 17th of January, you will get 1 copy of Dr. Ratio. This will be the first time Honkai Star Rail gives out a limited 5-star character, so get moving. Download the game using my link and experience these new characters for yourself, and use the redemption codes below to redeem 50 Stellar Jade. Now back to your regularly scheduled stupid builds. Thank you for that. This build paired this eclectic bullet popper with the Eternal Warrior, a helmet that I feel the community refuses to acknowledge because they both don't want to be caught dead looking like RTX on handsome Squidward, nor do they consider its perks worth it. In the highly likely chance you forgot how this operates, it grants an Arc Surge boot mod for every arc weapon kill you score, which maxes out if you cast Fist of Havoc, which also provides a free overshield. While in PvP, this free escalating damage can be a great tool for general room clearing, and as a combo chain to burn down mages and champions. I suspect it isn't run because of the Fist of Havoc requirement. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I am wrong. But in PvP, this small bump in damage after a kill significantly increases time to kill consistency. The real punch of this build came from, of course, Symmetry's Revolution mode. At 6 stacks, swapping over to this mode will grant a 2-tap combo that has both Seeking Projectiles and Splash damage. Not much can out-DPS you in this mode, as each shot deals 106 damage each, of which is escalated even further from your light blue Eastern Island helmet. For our secondary, we ran this with a slug shotgun, and focused our armor mods around reload speeds and handling, as the symmetry is quite sluggish in these areas. For aspects, we ran this with Touch of Thunder and Knockout, and I had quite a bit of fun playing around with the Thunderclap melee. For fragments, try this with Brilliance, Resistance, Recharge, and Feedback. Great to shake off the boredom, but not an all-star build. 2 Roman candles out of 4 chilling moais. Unless you have ever been curious what a rubber duck flung at 300 kilometers per hour can do to a human kidney, I suggest you subscribe. Appreciated. Continuing on our arc theme, this Warlock build was yet again a surprise that brought both a certain competitive edge as well as just generally being fun. Unheard of nowadays, I know. This build used the Forerunner, the special ammo sidearm with a hand cannon identity crisis, and the Getaway Artist. A fun fact for you: Arc Souls will automatically target and eliminate Threadlings and Threaded Spectres. So while it may seem counterintuitive, the Arc Warlock is a fantastic no-you button for the Strand Grenade spammers. Better still, because of how many Arc Souls the Stormcaller passively produces, it is entirely possible to get your super up as fast or faster than the Trials meta options of Bubble and Well of Radiance. And that electric Kamehameha is nothing to scoff at as a shutdown super. But for the moment-to-moment combat, having on-demand amplified and a very pissed-off shoulder-mounted arc turret is a fantastic way to pad out damage from these 2 weapons. Sometimes a missed Forerunner headshot will be forgiven by the Arc Souls, and sometimes your time to kill will have a flat decrease from them. For PvE, I suggest you give this a once-over with the Cold Heart instead of the Halo reference. Not only is its damage consistent and potent, but its consistent flood of ionic traces from the Cold Heart's perk will make sure you stay more juiced up than shady bodybuilding contests. For aspects, besides the Arc Souls, we accompanied this setup with the Electrostatic Mind, and the fragments Haste, Momentum, Recharge, and Instinct. I also gave this a few games with an Aikilos SMG instead of an auto, and I found it slightly more complimentary. 12 Desert Eagles out of 6 Nobles. My livestream chat seemed to have been sharing one brain cell today, as our last build is yet another Arc build, but this time of the Hunter Persuasion. The goal of this build was to be the most annoying hunter possible, by flinging pocket sand into the eye sockets of anything and everything that had a pulse and showed up as a red dot on the radar. To accomplish this, we ran the Gemini Jesters, a beautifully underappreciated exotic with the Rat King. A fun fact about Geminis: if any enemies are in the middle slice of pie on your radar, regardless of cover or elevation, your Geminis will effortlessly tag them and disable their radar for a few seconds. These blinding tags technically deal damage similar to a barricade, meaning it won't kill. But of course, you could still use this to get free assists and thus super energy on targets you didn't even have a remote chance of gaining line of sight on. While our enemies were recovering from being pepper sprayed by my sick dance moves, I would move in with the Rat King, another criminally underrated exotic, especially with its catalyst. The Rat King boasts a staggering quick time to kill, invisibility on reloads after kills, and if you have the catalyst, full health regen on reloads as well. While its stats are overall lackluster, its perks more than make up for it, and we are even intentionally ignoring its Rat Pack firing squad mechanics. I really wish more exotics were designed as well as Rat King. Anyways, dodge, blind, kill, vanish. Like a dystopian washing machine set to murder, our hunter would cycle and roll through combat cleanly, only struggling against bigger enemy conglomerates. Which, to be fair, which build doesn't have at least some trouble with that? We could have ran this with a blinding grenade launcher to really lean into the theme, but all of my energy grenade launchers with blinding are what scientists call garbage water, so I opted to simply let out my inner caveman and ran with a pointy stick. For aspects, we used Lethal Current and Flow State. Fun, albeit a bit of a joke build. 1 Master Splinter out of 5 John Cenas. Before we continue with our last 2 builds, you may have noticed this game mode is a tad odd. And indeed, your intuitions and suspicions are correct. This isn't any normal 6v6 game mode. This is a custom game mode we call Attrition. The game mode is a simple 6v6, where the only catch is that each team shares 20 lives, like an overinflated game of 3v3 survival. I found it a fantastic breath of fresh air from the run-of-the-mill control games without the added sweat and pressure of comp. If you would like more info about this, I have left a link to a sort of podcast-style stream we did with Ascendant Nomad in the description. This Titan build has sparked an entire new form of build never before seen in PvP. I don't believe that to be hyperbole. The build ran Stasis Titan with Cryoclasm and the Lion Rampants. Now on first glance, you might think this is a simple movement-focused Titan build. But what lies beneath this exterior is a platform for maintaining quick movement while still being able to fire our weapons. While in the Cryoclasm slide, we can hip-fire or charge weapons, and the same applies to hip-fired shots while boosting with the Rampants. As a proof of concept, our livestream chat had us run this with the final warning: the auto-aiming charge, lock, and fire smart pistol. And wouldn't you know it, this normally too slow sidearm actually found its teeth! Slide in, slide out, boosting towards or boosting away, we were able to wind up the volley of green death on targets without interruption. Now this isn't to say that the final warning is amazing, far from it, but rather this is to say this strangely unused combination of aspects and armor lay a groundwork for any future hipfire builds that may follow it. Imagine a Titan sliding then thrusting towards you at sprint speeds, laying into you and your team with something like the last word or a dead man's tail. Picture a Titan closing the gap while still firing at you with a glaive. Conjure in your mind the horror that would grip your soul as a Titan continuously winds and releases a fresh blast of fiery Jotun, all the while strafing your counterfire. Can your mortal mind even appreciate what truly diabolical chemistry of death we have discovered today? Can you really? I don't even know if I want to live in a world where a Titan becomes a goddamn transformer with a mounted railgun. But if this is my reality, then I will be its bloody pilot!
These guys belong to me! Nowhere to run! Nowhere to hide!
Let's talk about Celestial Knighthawk and Golden Gun. I was given an offhanded remark from a friend during a Crucible match one day that his Celestial shot dealt sudden bonus damage. He had been using Lumina at the time, trying to cosplay a combat medic, so it seemed his Celestial gained bonus damage from the Lumina. Now, normally on claims like this, given the thought of chaos in Crucible combat, I would have shrugged this off as preposterous. But there is a precedent for this idea. You see, the Golden Gun, for some odd reason, is considered a kinetic weapon in the code. This means that kinetic surge mods can grant it free bonus damage despite the clear discrepancy in damage types. Some of you are likely already aware of this, as it is well discussed in other videos. Golden Gun will also gain bonus damage from Radiant, as listed in its super description, another well-known fact. Interestingly, however, is that this bonus damage does not include other debuff sources such as Disruption Break, normally granting a 50% damage increase to kinetics, of which the Golden Gun, as mentioned, is according to Bungie's spaghetti code. But what about the Lumina? We set off into a Lost Sector with our chat and established a baseline damage against this Lost Sector boss, which came out to be 665,000. And then we went back in with Lumina. We had our doubts about this setup as we were certain we would have heard about it, right? The hope was, because these two exotics are so rarely put together, maybe, and with generally how ignored the Lumina is by high-end PvE players, maybe, just maybe, we have found gold. And what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No change in damage values, no bonus damage. So we leave you with a question. Should Lumina benefit Golden Gun? It's likely the kinetic damage surge buff to Golden Gun will be removed, as it's likely not intended. But would you prefer it was? Or better yet, if it was benefited by Solar Surge instead? Is build crafting getting too watered down, and would unusual solutions and combos like these revitalize your interest in it? Let us know in the comments below, and trust us, we are just as dissatisfied with the lack of synergy between Lumina and Golden Gun as you are. Subscribe, bless your faces, and deuces.